You know the songs, but do you know their history? Join us for an in-depth look at the stories behind the biggest songs in the world. This is Encore. The stories behind the songs.
Thank you.
Here's iHeartRadio's Miles Galloway.
Yes, we are back with another episode of Encore, the stories behind the songs you love. Hey, I'm Miles Galloway, and I'm glad you're enjoying the series so far. I know I am. I also wanted to say that if you had a song in mind for a future episode of Encore that you think would work really well, you can always let us know, get in touch. But for this episode, it's the story of 50 Cent's 2003 classic, In the Club. So go, shawty. It might not be your birthday, but for the sake of this episode, let's just say it is. Originally signed by major label Columbia Records in 1999 with a planned release of an album called Power of the Dollar, 50 Cent intended on tapping into underground hype with a lead single called How to Rob in August of 99. The track was a comical look at how he would hypothetically rob famous artists such as Jay-Z, Will Smith, Timbaland, Busta Rhymes, among many others. Many of the rappers mentioned on the song responded to the track, including Jay-Z, but 50 insisted the song was really just intended as a joke. Within a year of How to Rob's release, 50 Cent was dropped from the label, and the album was cancelled after he was shot 9 times in Queens, New York in May 2000. I always thought that was just a myth. I remember being back at school, maybe just one of those playground stories that you were just like, yeah. 50 Cent told Much Music's Nam Kiwanuka in 2003 that he knew the pairing of him and Columbia was not a match made in heaven, and that although he had the machine behind him, it just wasn't going to work.
I was on Columbia, and they didn't really know how to market artists that wrote my kind of material, rap music. Nas is the only person directly to Columbia that has some success. And he's probably doing half as good as he should be doing, So as I was approaching my release date and I didn't have any buzz really, the poster boards look nice. They're pretty colorful pieces of paper, but if people don't hear records playing to ID with what that is, they don't purchase anything when it comes time for the record to be released. So I had to make a record that made people say, who's 50 Cent?
While the official details of his dropping from the label are murky, 50 had been considered blacklisted by the music industry at the time due to the lyrics of another song on Power of the Dollar that detailed gang activity by an 80s drug gang, Supreme Team. Years later, The Guardian would actually report that, quote, an affidavit from Francis Mace, a special agent assigned to the U.S. Treasury Department, discloses that law enforcement officials believe that the shooting in 2000 was in retaliation for the lyrics of the song Ghetto Koran. Mace believed there was an ongoing plot to kill 50 Cent and that drug lord Kenneth Supreme McGriff was kept in touch with the singer's whereabouts. And that after releasing the song Ghetto Koran, 50 Cent was blacklisted from studios in the U.S. According to The Guardian's report on Francis Mace's files, after Jam Master Jay, who acted as a mentor to 50 Cent and introduced him to his first major contacts in the music industry, was killed in his recording studio in 2002. Quote, law enforcement agents are investigating the possibility that he was murdered for defying the blacklist of 50 Cent. The reason that this is important to the story of In the Club is that after this blacklisting, 50 Cent had to look for alternative locations to record new music, as he was too hot and too controversial of a figure by the time he recovered from the shooting. I mean, even years later in 2003, when speaking to Nam, 50 Cent believed it to be crucial that he continued to wear a bulletproof vest, not just for show or to look tough, but because his past was very much still a part of him.
Does it, when you have a bulletproof vest though, even the mentality of, like you put the vest on, you're always traveling with 46 bodyguards,
Mm-hmm.
You have a bulletproof van, are you just basically waiting, or are you just...
No, I just know the possibilities. I think if Tupac had his vest on, he'd still be here. I think if Biggie had his vest on, he'd still be here.
Who's trying to kill you?
All of their wounds were inflicted in areas where it would have been prevented if they wore body armor.
Who do you think is trying to kill you?
It could be anybody. I'm not an angel. I've done some things, and when I got shot, it was like karma. What goes around comes around. I've been blessed with the opportunity to change my life. So I've been doing it.
50 needed to lay low for a while, but he wasn't about to let his music career slip through his fingers. So where did 50 Cent go, you may ask? Well, a little country called Canada. By mid-2002, 50 Cent wasn't able to find work in the States, so he packed up shop and began working on independent releases in the Great White North. In Canada, he recorded 2 known mixtapes called Guess Who's Back and 50 Cent Is the Future. Of course, these mixtapes had no original commercial success, as 50 was isolated from the major American music scene as a whole, but he wasn't completely cut off. As legend has it, Eminem got his hands on a copy of Guess Who's Back through 50's attorney, who was working with Eminem's manager, Paul Rosenberg. In 2002, Eminem was one of the most popular and well-connected artists in the world, so having a mixtape land in his lap could only mean good things for any young rapper. Eminem invited 50 out of the cold, literally, and brought him to Los Angeles to meet his mentor, the iconic Dr. Dre. They liked what they saw. 50 signed with Dre's Aftermath Entertainment and M's Shady Records, finished up another mixtape called No Mercy, No Fear, which included a song called Wanksta, which would be included on the soundtrack for a little film called 8 Mile. Wanksta was a first look at the new 50 Cent. Gangsta rap was a very popular form of hip-hop in 2003, and to be co-signed by the legendary Dr. Dre, people started to truly take notice. Let's face it though, one strong feature on a movie soundtrack doesn't really make a superstar, but things were about to change. As if by cosmic intervention, In Da Club was allegedly the very first of 7 songs recorded in 5 days by 50 Cent in his studio sessions with Dr. Dre. Co-written by 50, Dre, and Mike Elizondo, the now iconic beat was originally intended for Eminem's supergroup D12, but they passed on the track. MTV reported that Dre was sure that the beat was a hit, but just didn't know what direction to take it, but 50 Cent sure did. 50 told Rhapsody that after making so much music with darker themes present, many of which would make their way to his debut album Get Rich or Die Tryin', he just wanted to make something that was a, quote, celebration of life, a song that was relevant because every day is someone's birthday. Rolling Stone reviewed the track as one with a, quote, spare yet irresistible synth hook augmented with a tongue-twisting refrain, and Pitchfork said the bounce on In Da Club is straight up irresistible, crediting Dr. Dre's production as both his minimal best and deceptively infectious. Much like the story of 50 Cent's career to this point though, he may not have had such an immediate impact if not for last-minute influence by Eminem. He is quoted as saying that after showing the work from the studio to Eminem and Interscope label founder Jimmy Iovine, Jimmy wanted to lead 50's reintroduction to the world with another song, one called If I Can't. But Eminem preferred In Da Club, and 50 agreed. It turned out to be an absolute stroke of genius. Oh, and if you're wondering, If I Can't was released later that year as a single. It peaked in America at number 76, his lowest charting single off his debut album. After years of underground hype and plenty of hurdles, In Da Club was released on January 7th, 2003. It debuted at number 67 on Billboard's Hot 100 and within 8 weeks hit number 1, which is where it stayed for another resounding 9 more weeks. 50 knew the hype was real, again telling Nam in 2003,
Like when after In Da Club came out, it was like huge. Like they would play it like 5 or 6 times back to back, and then they
even in other countries, apparently some guy in England has In Da Pub.
Yeah, I heard that. That was crazy.
While In Da Pub might not have lasted long, the music video for In Da Club is one of the decade's most iconic. You're probably already picturing Eminem and Dr. Dre in their lab coats looking down from a balcony with various doctors taking down notes on their project at the fictional Shady Aftermath Development Center in a remote location. 50 Cent appears, at first, jarringly upside down, hanging from the ceiling. 50 then appears to be taking a physical, as if to say that he was custom built for this, the perfect rap specimen, ready to take over the world. From there, you guessed it, you can find him in the club rapping with his now classic bravado and swagger as Dre and Eminem continue to observe. The popularity of the song crowned it as the number 1 song of the year according to Billboard, and it propelled the album Get Rich or Die Tryin' to also take home top honors. In Da Club was also nominated for 2 Grammy Awards the following year, Best Male Rap Solo Performance and Best Rap Song. It didn't win either prize, but I doubt 50 Cent was too bothered by that, because those particular awards went to one of his mentors, Eminem, for Lose Yourself. 50 Cent would go on to have an incredible rap career with another immediate number 1 single off of Get Rich or Die Tryin' in 21 Questions, featuring the late Nate Dogg, as well as number 1s for his track Candy Shop featuring Olivia, and as a featured artist on the song Crack a Bottle. The other 2 artists on Crack a Bottle, Dr. Dre and Eminem, of course. The legacy of In Da Club continues to influence pop culture today. The video has over 1.5 billion views on YouTube, and it's by far his most streamed song in the digital era. In 2022, at the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime, a full 19 years after its release, 50 Cent was invited to recreate the iconic video opening, complete with a now 46-year-old 50 hanging upside down from the stage ceiling. And even then, aged 46, he could still do more upside-down ab crunches than I can do the right way up. I'm Miles Galloway, and that was the story of 50 Cent's In the Club on Encore, an iHeartRadio podcast.
Encore is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more great podcasts just like these.